The O'Reilly Factor's on tonight.
It's a brutal start to the weekend, the day on Wall Street. We're looking at an 800-point loss for the Dow Jones Industrial Average.
Now the stock market's in trouble, adding to the soft U.S. economy in general. What is driving all the bad economic news? Donald Trump will be here to tell us. He'll also talk about his stern immigration plan, where he wants to deport millions of people.
They have to go. We either have a country or we don't have a country.
Took out a box cutter, started jabbing at me with that. We let go.
3 Americans foil a mass murder on a European train. The perpetrator, you guessed it, a jihadist. We'll have the very latest on that story.
Do you know what a democratic socialist is?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
Also ahead, Jesse Waters trying to find out if people supporting Bernie Sanders understand anything at all about Bernie Sanders.
What's the attraction to Bernie Sanders?
That he's open-minded.
Caution. You are about to enter the no spin zone. The Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. No Talking Points memo this evening because we have a lot of news to cover, including an interview with Donald Trump. Usually at the end of August, very slow news time. Not this year. Another bad day for the stock market. Trillions of dollars have been lost all over the world, adding to the already soft economy here in the USA. Millions of Americans are angry that President Obama has not shored up the economic situation and that problems like illegal immigration are not being dealt with effectively. That is the reason Donald Trump's campaign has caught fire. Anger. Last Friday, about 30,000 people showed up to hear Donald Trump speak in Alabama. The crowd was raucous, obviously not happy with the way things are going in the USA. As you may know, Mr. Trump's polling numbers remain strong, leading to fear and loathing in some political precincts. So joining us now from his New York City headquarters is Mr. Trump. First of all, why do you think the stock market's going down?
Well, you look at what's going on with China, or generally with Asia, and, you know, I've been saying for a long time on your show and on anybody else that wanted to listen that we're tying ourselves so closely to Asia, and in particular to China, that this is going to be trouble for our country. And not only now have they taken our jobs and they've taken our base and they've taken our manufacturing, but now they're pulling us down with them. And I said, we can't do this. We can't allow this to happen. And we have to do a big uncoupling pretty soon before it's too late. I've been saying this for a long time, Bill.
Do you have any theory about why the Chinese economy is collapsing? Do you have any knowledge of it at all?
Because it's funny money. They devalue their currency constantly in order to take our jobs and lots of other countries' jobs, frankly. They've done a pretty big number in Europe, too. Not as good as they've done to us. You know, I said the other day, this is the greatest theft in the history of America, with the money that they've taken out. We have rebuilt China, but now it's gotten to a point. They've devalued their currency to take even more from us. And we have nobody that's competent. We have nobody that knows what's happening. We have nobody that knows how to handle China. And believe me, we have all the cards. But they've devalued to a point where they wanted to take even more money out, even more jobs out, increase, and all of a sudden they have a big, fat, beautiful balloon that is popping right now. But it's taking us with us.
Very briefly, say you're talking to somebody on the street and they go, Mr. Trump, I don't really understand what devalue the currency means. What does that mean to me? I buy stocks in my IRA. I expect them to be, you know, profitable, and now they're not because of China devaluating their economy. What does that mean?
Well, they're not devaluing their economy. They're actually, in some ways,
currency.
increasing their.
They're
devaluing their currency, and by doing that, they're cheapening their currency, and they're making it very inexpensive. They will be able to make goods for far less than our goods. You know, we make great product, but it's impossible to compete when the product is so much more expensive.
All right, so
eventually, what
they're
doing, though, leads to depression, Bill.
They're flooding money into.
Eventually.
All right. So they got 1.5 billion people, and they're flooding money into the provinces around so that people don't starve because there's not enough legitimate business to support 1.5 billion people. So therefore, then when they pay us.
But Bill, the problem is They're taking the business from us. So they don't want their people to starve. We all agree with that. That's wonderful. But what they're doing is they want our people to starve. They're taking our business away.
I got it.
They've
but we're
taken our
letting
jobs
them.
away.
All right, if U.S. companies, they go over there voluntarily because the labor is cheaper. But now the U.S. companies are being paid back with money that's not worth as much money as they made the deal. So they're getting hosed, aren't they?
Well, not only that, how about we owe them $1.4 trillion and those dollars become strong? You know, the word strong dollar sounds good, but it's costing us a lot of money. There's some nice things about having a strong dollar, but there are some really bad things. And number one bad thing is we're not exporting anything. We are going to be in big trouble. It's getting worse and worse. And ultimately, the balloon is going to pop and it's going to get very ugly. And you're starting to see the beginning of that.
Okay. Now, the reason that a lot of politicians favor the trade with China is because when China's tethered to us by having so much of our debt holding our bonds, it's less likely they will cause military trouble to us. So if you're tethered to somebody economically, if your welfare means their welfare, then it's easier to control them. That is the original intent of all these Chinese deals, is it not?
I don't think so at all. I don't think it's the intent. It's not the military intent. If you look at China with the wars with Japan, Japan would constantly beat them in wars. So I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem that we have is that we have a country that got away with murder for many years. They built their bridges, their roads, their everything. They built infrastructure, their airports, like we don't see in this country. Where are we building airports? And look at LaGuardia Airport, look at Kennedy, look at LAX and Los Angeles. They're like third world airports.
So you're not buying the fact that keeping your enemy close,
I don't believe that.
Keeping your enemy close is a good geopolitical strategy. You don't buy that.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that ever took place. I think that what has happened is China has gone out of its way to devalue. They got away with it. They kept devaluing, and all of a sudden they built this monster, but they've also built a monster bubble.
Okay. Two people coming to the United States of note in September. The Pope, okay, and the President of China is coming. A man named Xi Jinping. Do you know Xi Jinping? I never heard of him. I don't know who he is. But he's the president. He's coming over. He's getting a big dinner free at the White House, addressing the UN. If you were president, would you throw him a big dinner?
I would not be throwing him a dinner. We've had this conversation. I'd get him a McDonald's hamburger and I'd say, we got to get down to work because you can't continue to devalue. You know, we'll give him a state dinner. And what he's done is sucked all of our jobs, and he's sucked the money right out of our country.
U.S. companies do it. They're doing it. So you would be confrontational with the Chinese? You're saying, look, I'm not giving you a dinner. Here's a Big Mac. I mean, really? Is that what you're going to do?
I would give him but I'd give him probably a double-sized Big Mac. Look, it's not so much the companies. It's our government that allowed China to do this to us.
I don't buy that for a second. Those companies, they go over there because they want as much money as they can. They go to Mexico. Our government lets them do it, but this is a free nation. So if they want to go and do it, you can't stop them. Now, you could punish them.
Bill, our government should have stopped China from devaluing. They never even bring them up. It's the number. Of course they can.
How?
You know how they can?
Yeah, how?
Very simply. Bill, it's so simple. They put a tariff on Chinese goods.
All right,
you know, China.
Then you got a trade war. All right, then you got a trade.
You have to do that, and then you bring it back to normal. You have no choice. You do that. Our government doesn't even. And by the way, China does it to us. Do you think that we sell to China without a tariff? They call it a tariff. I call it a tax.
There's no question
China's
the imbalance.
Taxing our goods.
There's no question the imbalance.
There's a total imbalance.
Right.
You know what the big imbalance is? Right. Intelligence. Their leaders are intelligent. Ours aren't. We don't know what we're doing. We had to do this, and it should have taken place a long time ago. And you wouldn't have this bubble right now, Bill.
Okay, so I'm not going to get Xi Jinping and you together. I was going to take you both out to dinner. I'm not doing that. So I think it might be bloody.
I'd get along with him very well.
I know.
I have great relationships with China and the Chinese.
You'd be vacationing in the Yellow Sea with him. I know. All right, now I'm going to hold Mr. Trump over against his will to talk about immigration because Jeb Bush gave you a little jazz today. We'll play that clip. Then we have the inside story of how 3 Americans neutralized a jihadist who was trying to kill hundreds of people on a train in Europe. The Factor will be right back.